What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a DC superhero film that was directed by Patty Jenkins and is the fourth film in the DC Extended Universe. Real quick, I just want to apologize for not posting as many reviews lately. I've been completely immersed into building these online classes that I'm teaching, and I still may not be completely done them in time, but things should be back to normal in the next week or so. But anyway, Wonder Woman takes place in the early 1900s during World War I and primarily follows Gal Gadot's character Diana, Princess of the Mascara, an Amazonian living among other Amazonians that all trained for the ultimate battle against a powerful force of evil. Well, one day a mysterious man named Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, crashes his plane in the waters of the Mascara and tells the Amazons of a war to end all wars. Diana eventually decides to leave the Mascara with Steve with the mission of ending the war, and the rest of the film is spent watching Diana and Steve attempt to bring down the German forces and an evil villain, while we also watch Diana attempt to acclimate to the world outside of her home of the Mascara. So Wonder Woman was certainly a movie that I was looking forward to seeing, because although the current DC Extended Universe definitely underwhelmed me with their first three installments, the trailer for Wonder Woman really wowed me and made me cautiously optimistic that this current DC Universe was finally going to deliver us a really good to great superhero film. And I'm very pleased to report that DC is finally on the board. This Wonder Woman film is a score and the first installment in the DCEU that is truly a very good to somewhat great superhero film. I think this movie is a huge step in the right direction for DC, because I think that while there are certainly fans of the first three movies out there, there are many others like myself that were pretty disappointed with those films. Wonder Woman is a much better movie than its three predecessors, and it gave me a lot of hope for the new course of the DCEU. I think what I found really interesting about this Wonder Woman film is that there are several stretches of time, particularly in the first two acts, where it feels like a grounded, boots on the ground superhero film more than anything else, because it's not until like the middle of Act 2 where you really get to see Diana actually start kicking some ass in true superhero style and truly become Wonder Woman. You spend a lot of time getting to know Diana and Steve and what they're all about as they journey together, and I think this deliberate approach to develop these characters in a quality fashion was actually pretty cool for the most part. But I will caution you that this film is somewhat of a slow burn. It does take quite a bit of time before you really get to see Wonder Woman in action. I would say that you don't get to see the kick-ass Wonder Woman we all know and love until like an hour 15 into the film, and that was something that I think will slightly disappoint certain fans. Because this is a long movie, I mean like 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and this is certainly an origin story by every stretch of the imagination. There is a lot of downtime where the characters are speaking and planning with one another, and ultimately this story is about Diana trying to find her identity and do good in the world. For me personally, I felt there could have been a little bit more Wonder Woman action mixed in, because every time she kicked ass on screen, it was just so exciting and fun. While the characters and the dialogue are certainly some strengths, ultimately it still is a superhero film, and I think the deliberately slow pace did wear on me a little bit after a while, because I wanted to see Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman, but the film really likes to make you wait for it. It wasn't a huge detractor for me by any means, and this obviously will vary from viewer to viewer based on preference, but sometimes I just felt the film just needed to move it along a little bit more. And that's just an origin story thing, really. Longer origin stories like this one really like to show you the growth and transformation of the hero, and they obviously want that to be a gradual transformation that's taking place. It's all a matter of preference, and I still love the film. It's just that you really get like 2 true Wonder Woman scenes, and the rest of the time is spent developing the characters, which is something you should be aware of going in. But like I said, that's a small detractor in what otherwise was a great experience for me, and part of that great experience boils down to firstly how great Gal Gadot is in the role of Diana. She's fantastic and a great fit for the role, and secondly how awesome Chris Pine is in the role of Steve Trevor. These two are great on screen together, and I think considering this is more often than not a somewhat grounded character exploration superhero film, there's a very heavy burden on the shoulders of these two to be great and carry the film, and they certainly do that throughout the entirety of it. Something that may surprise you is that this movie actually has a lot of quality humor in it, which is something that DC hasn't always been known for. That's more of a Marvel thing. I will caution you though that a lot of the humor is what I would consider to be adult humor. There's some sexual references and other similar jokes that were cleverly written, but none of it ever felt overly family friendly, which was actually a route I admire DC for taking. And from a technical perspective, I think a lot of people are going to be incredibly impressed with not just how good this movie looks, but how good it sounds. In terms of the visual offerings though, this is one beautifully shot movie that I was often blown away by. Some of the shots were pretty incredible looking, and the action itself was really well done for the most part. There's a lot of stylistic slow-mo with some crazy good sound mixed in that is pretty amazing to witness on the big screen. I will however say that there are a handful of shots that look very cartoonish and of significantly lower quality than the others. I gotta be honest, there are a few noticeably fake-looking CG shots that reminded me of King Arthur Legend of the Sword, which is not a good film to be compared to in any respect. But while you certainly notice these few bad apples, they aren't that prevalent. And as I mentioned before, the score is outstanding. The action scenes are heightened to great levels by the score composed by Rupert Gregson-Williams. I mean, this is one of the best scores I've experienced in 2017 thus far because it's noticeably great and super effective, which is obviously very hard to do. So two last things I want to touch on here. Firstly, the climax. This is where the film loses its grounded element, but it's still amazing, action-packed, exciting, fun, you name it. But the villain, not so much. DC kind of went Marvel here and delivered a villain that was less than satisfying, which I think partially prevented this movie from reaching greater heights. And finally, I've seen this question posed by many to sort of stir people up and start a dialogue: is Wonder Woman better than The Dark Knight? And the answer is definitely a resounding no for me. While Wonder Woman is a great film, The Dark Knight is the greatest superhero film ever made. If I had to find an equivalent for Wonder Woman quality-wise, I'd say it's on the level of like Guardians 2 and a little bit below Winter Soldier, which is a great place to be. I just don't want you to go into the theater with unrealistic expectations, because then you won't enjoy this Wonder Woman flick for what it is. A very good to slightly great superhero film, but not one of the top 5 greatest ever made or anything. But overall, I really enjoyed this film, and it's a huge step in the right direction for the DCEU. I thought it had some fantastic characters and acting, stunning visual offerings, excellent sound and a great score, and some quality humor. I also felt the slow pace was a bit too slow at times, the CGI looked a bit cartoonish in a few cases, and the villain was slightly underwhelming. Regardless, the heavy pros certainly outweigh the light cons, and I'm going to give Wonder Woman a 9 out of 10 and definitely recommend you check this one out if you're a fan of superhero films or not. It's a great experience overall. So did you guys see Wonder Woman yet? What did you think of it? If not, let me know why not, and also let me know your favorite film in the current DC universe. If you haven't seen Wonder Woman yet, that's kind of a tough question, honestly. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.